All right, family, we're about to kick things off with our hierarchy regional vice president panel meeting. I'm excited to be here this evening. Again, it is not too late to get your people on for tonight's meeting. And so let's get this show on the road. And so, man, we got a great group of leaders here. You know them and you know them well. But what I'm going to do is I want to welcome you tonight. And then now I'm going to pass it over to my amazing partner. Man, we jumping straight in. You're like, Nick, no announcements? No, we jumping straight in, right? Because we want to use the balance of our time to really be able to get through a lot of the questions. So I'm going to pass it over to the awesome and fantastic Miss Rahima Bracey. She's going to be our moderator for this evening and to help us flow through all of these amazing questions that you guys submitted. So Rahima, I submit it over to you.
All right, welcome teammates. Thank you so much for jumping on tonight. Again, it's not too late to get your teammates on. I know this is going to be an awesome and incredible panel discussion for you all tonight. We asked you to submit some questions. You all did submit some questions. And so, look, we want to make sure that our panel answer the questions that you've asked and that give you the information that you're looking to hear. And so let me introduce you to our incredible panel. You know them already, but I just like to introduce them anyway. Starting with the most recent regional vice presidents promoted in April of 2022. You have the awesome and incredible Justin and Brittany Hall. They are the head coaches of Get Active. They are the parents of Avery. They are just two awesome and incredible leaders. And we are happy to have them on the panel tonight. Next, you have regional vice presidents promoted in August of 2021, the dynamic sister duo, the coaches of Secret Weapon. You have the awesome and incredible Andrea Fowler and Kathy Fowler. Next, you have promoted in October of 2020, the head coach of Blessed Dynasty, the wonderful and amazing, went ahead and got that hair did. The wonderful RVP Benicia Monique Walker. And then you have us, me and my wonderful partner, Senior Vice President parents of Messiah and Noah, and leaders of the Prove It movement. You have Nick and Rahima Bracey. I'll serve as your moderator, and I'll jump in and answer questions, as needed. But I will leave it to your panel to answer the questions. And so there were a lot of great questions. We're going to try to fit as much into this time as we have. And if we spill over, we spill over. If we got to do a little extra on another night, we got to do a little extra on another night. But we want to get as much covered in this time period as we have with you, right? And so for each question, we may have maybe one or two people answer, and then we'll move on. We'll try to cover, like I said, as much as we can. Oh, this is what I forgot to add, right? You all out of our RVP panel, just to make sure everybody knows who they're dealing with. You're talking about, right, over 50 years collectively combined Primerica experience and knowledge here. You're talking about life license, you're talking about securities license, you're talking about, we've been in these trenches doing this thing for a while. And so, you have people here that know what they're talking about and been there, done that, and know what they're doing, but we're still all continuing to grow, right? We're continuing to grow and to learn and to improve each and every day. Right. And so I really want to start with a few questions. I think that we could probably get out the way pretty quickly because there are some questions that are a little bit deeper that require a little bit more, a little bit more depth, a little bit more time. And so it's a couple of things that I think we probably can get off the table real quick, y'all. Right. So let me pick for my questions here. Let me say, I thought this one was an interesting question, and I'm just going to throw this one out there. And if someone asks, once you become an RVP, what are the monthly requirements? Once you become an RVP, what are the monthly requirements? And Nick, I'm going to let you go ahead and quickly handle that one.
The monthly requirements for an RVP is to be an example for your team. Primerica is not a quota business. It's not like the home office is going to come looking for you if you don't do certain numbers and things like that. But, the monthly requirements for you to become an RVP is to be a leader, to be an example to your team, to be the person who leads from the front, with your organization. It's not a position where you just kick your feet up and expect for the overrides to roll in. No, that's where the real work really begins. It is the starting line for you to truly build a Primerica business, because that's where you are competing for ownership and all that good stuff. And so everything else is just a full-on body stretch before you get into the starting blocks of regional vice president. But what's required of you to be an RVP is for you to be productive. It's for you to be productive, because you are a walking billboard of this opportunity, right? So you got to think like a champion. You got to talk like a champion. You got to feel like a champion. You got to be the consummate example of what a successful entrepreneur looks like in Primerica. Even if you're still becoming that, right? You still have to maintain a positive mental attitude and just know that, hey, look, you got your shot. You have an opportunity to go do something big and do something special. So just being just a full-on example of what success and pursuit of success looks like. That's your requirement for being an RVP. There's no numbers, there's no recruiting requirement, there's no licensing or production requirement, but you want to do all those things if you want to get paid. If you're trying to make some money, you got to do that. And you're only on the highest contract percentage that Primerica offers. So it'll behoove you to go ahead and do your thing, but nothing is necessarily required numbers wise at the RVP and above level.
All right, so I think what I heard is there is no quota, but you should have some standards. You should have some personal standards when it comes to getting that RVP contract. All right, the next quick question I want to get out the way is, so RVPs, not everyone wants to be an RVP or even understands what it means to be an RVP. Can somebody talk to us about what that person needs to focus on to be successful, right? And then what is the ideal contract level for someone who they're not even sure what RVP is yet? Or they're like, okay, I'm not sure if I want the responsibility of RVP. Can I get two RVPs to just quickly kind of just talk to us about what is the focus for that person?
Okay. What up, everybody? I'll go ahead and take a stab at that. I just want to say I love y'all, first of all, if that matters. All right, but to be successful in Primerica, as an RVP, right?
If you're not even sure if you want to be an RVP or if you're not ready for that level of responsibility yet.
Okay. I would say prove to yourself that you can make money in the base shop. That's what I would say. Because honestly, if you can't, to be completely honest, if you can't make money in the base shop, you will have a hard time trying to make money as a regional vice president, right? So just prove to yourself that you can get a skill set, you can learn it, and that you can implement it, that skill set, and be able to draw cash out of the marketplace in the base shop with your licenses, right? Because we have all the coaching, we have all the mentorship that's available to you here. You have everything that you need, right? Don't think that you're going to become RVP and all of a sudden it's going to be like, time to get biz made. No, the same thing applies, right? It's just more responsibility. You're responsible for more people. Now, what contract would be a contract where you can be like, hey, I can be able to make some good income per sale, right? That would start at district contract at a 50% contract. Once you get on that contract, all contracts are respectable. Just let me put it out there, right? But when you get on the district contract, the compensation, it just hits different, right? And so you definitely, you want to be there at least in the base shop. But so I would say district contract, right? And then proving to yourself that you can make money, and whatever that is to you per month, right? If it's $500 a month, it's $1,000 a month, part-time around your schedule. You have the ability to be able to do that with the district contract.
And easily so on a district contract. Thank you so much for that, Justin. Does anybody else have anything that they want to add on top of that before I jump into another? I'm just warming us up, y'all. I'm warming us up. I'm getting some of the quick answer questions out of the way.
Okay, so what you said was what do they need to focus on, correct? So I'm with Justin as far as making sure that you can actually make money in the base, right? But when it comes down to it, like when you're new, obviously there's a system that you're learning. There are things that you do need to follow, right? And so there's a whole presentation that you can't skip over. So if you don't even know a part of the presentation, then you can't close business, you can't do anything, you cannot duplicate yourself. And that's very important when you're building a team, being able to actually teach other people. So a lot of times people will say, well, I want to go straight to RVP. And I said the same thing, I want to go straight to RVP. But listen, it was a lot I had to learn in order to become an RVP, you know, and I'm still learning. You know, I think that things change and you still learn because as the system continues to change, you know, and it's not a lot of changes, but I'm just saying there's a system that you need to learn. There are things that are put in place for a reason, because if they didn't work, none of us will be here before you. Right. And so I wanted to say that because that's very important. A lot of people think that they can skip past that, and you can't skip past knowing the systems, y'all. They're there for a reason and they do work. And so also I'm with Justin, like he said, personal production. That's very important. You know, being able to lead from the front. Nick mentioned that as well earlier. And so just focusing on those things as far as learning the system, and then also knowing what it is that you want from your business personally. What do I want? You got to ask yourself those questions. And when you realize what it is that you want, now let's go get it. Let's actually put some action to work, because you can't sit there and think that something's going to happen in your business, but you're not actually putting forth the work or the effort.
That's good. That's good. That's good. All right. Quick one. Everybody, for this next question, I just want you to give a time range. And so let me say this, some questions people ask, and so obviously we're doing our own interpretation of the questions because it's not always 100% clear. So someone asked about orientation and how much time should you, have for the orientation. And so what I interpreted that to be is the duration, how much time should you set aside for your orientation? My assumption was that you already know that your orientation, when you get a new person in, the orientation needs to happen within 24 to 72 hours, right? That's my assumption. My assumption is you already know that part. But just real quickly, everybody come off mute and say, what do you tell the new person about how much time to set aside to do the orientation? Let's start, I'm gonna do how you're on my screen, I guess. Or just go Benicia, Justin, Andrea, Nick.
45 minutes, right? 45 minutes to an hour. You know, we may not need that much time, but seriously, if a person does ask me that, you know, we don't go to new jobs asking the new job about the orientation time. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm being honest now, for real. That's what I'm thinking now. But, you know, we may need more time because that may be something that they don't understand. So I'll tell them at least 45 minutes to an hour, you know, and I try to get them out before the 45 minutes, but you may need that much time. So
that's good.
Yeah, to backdoor that, we say an hour. And we make sure that we have the new recruit to have their name list already completed before orientation. And that will just make sure that we can get out of there even sooner than that, because we just don't want to waste time doing those type of things during orientation. So we say an hour. It's a healthy amount of time to get some things done.
Same thing, I would say. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Same thing, 45 minutes to an hour. I'll book on the calendar an hour, but I'll always shoot to have it done in 45 minutes. So that's about the same time for us as well.
Yeah, my orientation's about 3 hours long. I'm joking, y'all. I'm joking. I better not be on an orientation for 3 hours. I tell people an hour. That's a good enough time. But what I'm really trying to get out of the orientation is the name list. That's the most important part of the orientation. That might have been a follow-up question for whoever asked that. Just make sure that when you do that orientation, that if all else fails, you're getting that name list and you're vetting that name list and you as the field trainer, I'm assuming if you're taking someone through an orientation, you're a field trainer, that you are picking out the people from that name list on who you guys are going to contact and try to reach out to first. But an hour should be a good enough time.
Okay, all right. So everybody's gonna set aside 45 minutes to an hour. And then within that, you're trying to get some solid things done, right? Establish, come to training, establish your days that you're willing to work, but most of all, let's get this name list. All right, and then this next question, I'm gonna answer real quick. It asks about, do RVPs use CRM? CRM is the client relationship manager system, and I'm just gonna answer this one quickly. Absolutely, you better. We better. Absolutely. Yes, we use the client relationship manager system. It's a place where you can see all your clients and what they have, what business they have with you. And you can set up the messages because we are clients of Primerica. We get messages from Primerica from ourselves on all different email addresses because we are clients of the business. But yes, use your CRM system. Make sure you have it set up to set up auto, the RCMs to set up auto messages, but also you going in there and working. What clients do you have? Whose policies are coming up for increases? Whose birthdays is coming up? Who do they have life insurance and investments? Are they still putting money into their investments? It's so much stuff that you can see in the CRM system. So yes to that one. All right, now we're going to get into some meatier questions, right? We're going to get into some questions that kind of deserve, they're a little bit of a longer answer. Okay, if that's okay. All right, so some of these, I'm going to try to read them as they were presented. Let me make sure I'm doing this correctly. It says, what's the recommended process for a person who is interested in what you're doing, but does not necessarily want to sit in a presentation? What is, and we're kind of like, some people are like, what does that mean? But we're going to take it just like that. What is the recommended process to close business with a client or prospect who would like to benefit from the products, but does not want to sit through a presentation? And y'all, I did not pre-plan who was supposed to answer these questions, but Nick raised his hand and Andrea, so Nick and Andrea, take it away.
Hey, Town, go ahead and go. Do your thing. Real quick, hey, man, but Benicia, your butter is just whipped up here. It's just, I just wanted to say that. Your butter is whipped, man. But go ahead, A-Town.
I would say you guys are hilarious. I love you guys. What I would say is that, listen, we are here to take the order, right? If someone says, listen, I want some insurance, me, my husband, my 2 kids, that's what I want. Great, we're going to get to that. But we would be doing a disservice if we do not talk about all of the products and services that we offer. 9 times out of 10, the person just wants to get that is because they only heard that you're just a life insurance salesman. They don't know that we offer all these other things. They don't know about, we do wills. They don't know about auto insurance. They don't know about Vivint. They don't know about our legal protection program. So they don't know. It's your job to make sure that they're educated on everything that we do, because if they're just wanting to get insurance, they can get that on the internet. Right? They can get a quote and be on down the road, but you got to sell them you, and you have to provide a value service to them. So yeah, you're going to take the order, but you know what, let me take a few more minutes. And I want to share with you what it is that we do for families. A lot of families in your community, our community, can take advantage of some of these other things. And you go into your store, never, ever, ever just give a quote and think that that's all they want. Always do the full service for the client. That way they can always come back to you. You can always go back to them. That's my answer.
Man, that's awesome, A-Town. And I just want to piggyback on what she said, because she said a word in there that's very key, and that's value, right? So that's what we're presenting to a client. We're presenting not just a product, we're presenting value to the client. So if there's somebody, just like she said, that, hey, they're interested in life insurance. I don't know how they figured out that somebody's doing life insurance. It might have been somebody who just knew that you're a life insurance salesperson, somebody that you talked to in the past. They didn't want to get it at the time. Now they want to get it. Or you might be field training someone, and your field trainee calls you and says, hey, my cousins want some life insurance. That's cool. We're going to get on there. And like Andrea said, we're going to take the order. Now, what does that mean, taking the order? That means that we're still going to share. Listen to this. This isn't going to be some type of, all right, man, what you looking for? Let's get straight to the life insurance. No, we're still going to show them who we are in an abridged version. That's a SAT word, a shortened version of what we do, right? I'm going to go over, and you should go over. This is who we are. Hey, let me tell you a little bit about, I know you're interested in life insurance, but let me tell you a little bit about who you're working with. Now you're saying, well, Nick, why you want to do that? Because at some point they're going to ask the question, what is the name of this company? And then you're going to be like, oh, well, let me backpedal. Let me tell you who we are. No, go ahead and do that up front. They will appreciate that. Say, hey, this is who we are. I'm going to tell you about our mission. And then I'm a beeline over to the two major financial risks that we all have to manage. And that's either what? Say it with me, dying too soon or living too long. And then you explain that dying too soon is this, this, and this. Living too long is that, right? Today, we're going to talk about the dying too soon piece. We want to put that in place for you, which is the life insurance. But we definitely need to talk about the living too long piece because that's equally as important. Now, why does that sound familiar to some of you guys? Because we did a training on it earlier this year. This is my shameless plug. Just get out there on the YouTube channel, the Hierarchy YouTube channel. It's in the winning presentation. I'm sorry, the Wealth Builder training. It might be one of them trains in there talking about closing life insurance business. It's out there, y'all. It's out there. And so that's how you handle that. And then set up a second appointment to do the investments, or you can segue into that at the time. I like to set up a second meeting. I'm gonna close business with you, build a rapport, get your emergency contacts, beneficiary contacts, and I'm gonna set up a second meeting to do your investments. That's how you do that.
Go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, Brittany got on and she said, raise your hand before you try to, I was like, how do I, she was like, no, your physical hand. So I was like, okay, let me make sure I do. She get me right over here.
I just didn't want him interrupted.
All right. Now, just a small little piece, y'all. Andrea and Coach, y'all hitting on the head. But one thing that we were taught in the bake shop when we first got licensed, right, is don't just go out there because you have a license, just throwing quotes out there, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so yeah, we got this whole life policy over here. You know what I'm saying? We're looking up, yeah. What y'all got over there? Yeah, throw me some quotes, man. Yeah, I want you to give me something that's probably about $50. Let me see, what can you get for me? You know, like, and you be like trigger happy because you got that gun. You're like, woo, pow, pow. Like, nah. People have to earn your quote. People get it in your spirit, y'all. People have to earn your quote. And how do they earn your quote? They have to go through your process in order for them to get your quote. That's the whole deal. Don't let people run your business, right? You go into any business, they got a process. Like if you're gonna check out some retail clothes or something like that, like you gotta go pick it up, you gotta get in line, you gotta go through the red cash register. You can't be like, yeah, let me just throw some money on the table, let me just get up out of here. No, they have a process for you to purchase these goods, right? So in this instance, it would be a modified process, right? If somebody's saying, hey, I know I want life insurance, right? I know I want it with y'all, right? Just tell me what it is, right? It's gonna be a condensed and abridged version, right? Like Nick said, of the process, but they definitely have to earn it every time.
Love it. I love it.
Real quick. I want to throw this out there. This is just something, this is a disclaimer. Do not snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Don't have somebody that want to buy life insurance with you and you like, yeah, I got you, but I got all this other cool stuff over here too, and you miss the sale because you vomited on them and throwing like, close some business, y'all. I don't ever want to hear anybody call me or text me and say, somebody said they wanted life insurance with me and I don't see it. Well, what happened? Well, they said that I took them through the Wealth Builder, coach. I took them through the whole, they just wanted life insurance. I took them through the whole Wealth Builder. Now they got to talk to their daddy and their granddaddy to figure out whether or not they want to get an IRA. What are we talking about, y'all? So I just wanted to throw that out there. Do not snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. I know that I'm saying that a certain way, but I mean that. I just wanted to say that. Hit them with it, Justin. Got another? Go for it.
I gotta say one more thing, y'all. Listen, it's the tale of two cats right? A person was trying to catch 2 cats, and guess how many they caught, y'all? Neither one of them. You never get your eyes set on 2 cats ever, right? You focus on 1 cat and you catch it. And once you do that, then you can focus on other things. In terms of, and so it's saying all that to say, like Nick said, get the job done that was put in front of you. Let's tie that down, and then maybe we can talk about some other things. But you put too much stuff on the plate, or on the table, people get confused about what they want to eat. And you never want to do that. So it's the ABCs, y'all. Always be closing.
I like, I'm sorry, I know we probably went over in time on those questions, but I like someone had just said something, but I'm gonna skip past that. The fact is that even though we're doing partial of the presentation, right, you still have to make sure that you're doing the necessary steps, right? And so what I did like what someone said, don't let the client be in control of your appointment. So if somebody said, well, I only want 50,000, they need to understand there is still a system that they need to understand their dimes calculation. They need to understand how much they need. You know, even though you can't afford the amount that we've told you about, but you know why you need this amount. So that's very important. You know, a lot of times I new recruits or people that are newly licensed, they'll skip over that part. And then you never understand, like coming back, it's like, okay, well, they have how much? You know, and so we have to make sure that we're doing our jobs to make sure that the client is taken care of. They have a certain amount. And then at the end of the day, how much can you afford? You know, those are the things. We're trying to build a financial house for them. That's important. So when someone said, don't let that client control your appointment, don't let the client control your appointment, right? Never. Well, they only wanted 50,000. I don't care what they wanted. What did they need? And then did we actually see how much they can afford? I had to add that in.
Awesome. Man, we all wish that people came up to us, talk about they want life insurance, right? But that's not always the case. That is not that's the ideal setup, right? And so of course we want to make sure that we're skilled enough not to let someone who does come to us wanting what we do to slip away. But we also need to know how to go out there and get clients and get people to understand what we're doing. And so I want to transition into talking about some prospecting, some getting referrals, some things like that. And so I'm gonna throw this one out to the RVPs. What is your prospecting routine, and what habits do you use? How do you know what to say? And are there some keys, things that you say or open up with, right? And so that's the question. But this is what I determined when I started reading through some of these questions, y'all. This is what I determined. Y'all think that we're doing something different than the system. That's what I did. That's what I figured out. I think y'all wanted to say, do these RVPs really use this system that they say that they use? Y'all, everything we're saying, everything that you've gotten is through experience. This is not a cookie cutter system off the shelf business, right? This is a system that has been tested and tried and actually developed from being out in the field. And so with that, I'm gonna start with Andrea to talk to us about prospecting and what are some routine and habits that you have when it comes to prospecting.
All right, so each and every one of us, I'm pretty sure I know, has scripts inside of Virtual Base Shop, or you have scripts inside of your Telegram, or you have scripts inside of somewhere that you can go take a look at. And inside of these scripts are ways that you can prospect, okay? And so I assume that the question is talking about cold prospecting, right? Because there are 4 ways to prospect. Okay, there are 4 ways to prospect. Nick has an amazing training on the Virtual Base Shop channel for the hierarchy about the 4 pipelines. You know, the number 1 way to prospect is in a recruit's warm market. You get a brand new recruit, boom, right? You're going to do a top 25 name list. Like Justin said, he already has it ready before you get there, right? And you're going to go through that and you're going to see just a few of those folks. That's the first way to prospect. The second way is through your old clients or warm referrals, or some folks that you've kind of been around and you kind of get some warm referrals, or they pass referrals to you, right? But the one area I think that this question is talking about is out in the cold. It's cold out in the cold, right? And so you want to stay away from the cold, it's frigid air out there, right? But the whole goal of being out in the cold is to go and find you a recruit so that you can go back to the first pipeline, which is a recruit's natural market, right? And so you never want to build your whole entire business out in the cold. You want to go ahead and get your referrals and your recruits and all that stuff from someone that has joined forces with you and come on board in the business. The second thing I want to say is that if we're talking about the cold, right, we all say pretty much the same thing. You're going to introduce yourself to someone. You're going to say, hey, man, that's a nice shirt. You know, hey, ooh, I like, girl, your hair is cute like that. You know, give a genuine compliment. Don't sound cheesy, right? Or you're just in your natural everyday life. You're in the grocery store, right? You're standing and waiting in line to buy tickets somewhere. You can talk to the person in front of you and the person behind you. Hey, you know, you can, if it's a recruiting conversation, some way after you talk about, you know, what you're in there for, you segue into, hey, what do you do for a living? Do you keep your options open for additional income? The answer is either yes, or it's no. If you're going for the recruit, they can only give you one of those answers, right? And whatever they say, you're going to set the appointment. It's not magical. It's just a natural flow of it. But the problem is most of y'all probably don't have the script. You probably don't have it memorized, right? We used to do trainings in the base shop where we had to memorize that thing and Nick would drill us, right? And he'd go, and go, Justin, you know, and then, and go. And so we had to kind of figure that thing out. And so if you need help, you know, practicing this thing, get with your field trainer, get with your upline, get with your RVP, and they'll absolutely, one, get you the scripts, but absolutely get you to a point where you're comfortable in doing that. And the best way to do it, the best way to really get it going is to do it. Be like Nike, just do it. Talk to the next person. You don't know them. They don't know you. They're a stranger. You can mess all the way up. It won't matter. But what if you throw the script out there and they go, yeah, I'd like to sit down. Now you're all excited. Get the phone number, right? Because then you can go to the next step with your field trainer. And so I hope that helps. If you're out in the cold, get out of the cold. It's cold in the cold. You want to warm up to a nice cozy fire. And that cozy fire is a new recruit and the new recruit's warm market. I'll turn it over to you. I think, were you going next, Nick? No?
I think that you hit the nail on the head, my sister. I do. I don't have anything else to add to that. That was game, set, match for me. Somebody else might have something, but you did a great job.
Go ahead, Justin.
Okay, you hit it on the head, Andre. I'm just gonna put a little season all on it, just a little bit. So natural prospecting, you know, if you're out and about, you at a neighborhood playground or, you know, events or grocery, I mean, wherever you may be out in the public, right? Where you're like naturally around people, natural conversations are happening. It's going to take a skill set to be able to talk to people, right? So you have to be comfortable with what you're saying, whatever script that you're using, make sure you got that script in your spirit. Okay. I don't know why this wants to come up now on my screen. All right. But make sure that you got that script in your spirit and that you're using the same script, you know, for everybody. Right. That'll, number one, help you get the script down in your spirit. It becomes a natural part of your conversation and you feel confident doing it. Okay. But where's the real work, y'all? I'm just gonna be honest, and I'm only listening to the leaders that have told me this over my time in the business. The real work is fighting to stay in a warm market. That's the real work. Art Williams, our great founder, he said that this is a warm market business, and it's the easiest way to do Primerica, y'all. It's the easiest way because, you know, trying to go out there into the cold tundra, trying to establish credibility with people that you don't know and things of that nature. Hey, it may come a time for that. It may, right? But just like Andrea said, if it happens, it's for the purposes of getting back into a warm market, right? Because so much happens in a warm market that you don't have to fret about, you don't have anxiety about, you know what I mean? Like you're borrowing someone else's credibility instead of trying to create your own credibility to a stranger, right? So fighting to stay in the warm market, y'all, getting those referrals, working through recruits, establishing relationships with people, with clients, keeping those relationships with the CRM, right? Reaching out to your clients, let them know that they appreciate it. There's so many pools that you can pull from in terms of warm market relationships, if you cultivate, right, and you maintain those relationships long after the sale has happened. So just get out of that mindset of just selling somebody something and then only when something like blowing up, then you want to hit them back. Nah, like create that actual relationship so people can feel appreciated, right? And that's a well that you can continue to draw from too. So saying all that to say, fight to stay in the warm market. That's the best place to be in primary, the best place to be.
I think that was a great. I hope you all are taking notes on that. I think that was a lot of great gems dropped right there about staying in a war market. And then even when you're out in a cold, fighting your way to get back into the warm, whether that's family, whether that's friends, whether that's friends of friends, referral business, whether that's a natural market, talking to people, whether that's a vendor event when you set up somewhere as a vendor, whether that's a wellness workshop where you've gone and talked to some organization and tried to get on as a speaker and do a wellness workshop, but not only getting those opportunities, but then cultivating those opportunities into business, into friendships, into relationships, and then into business. All right, I thought that was awesome. So now I want to, since the word market got mentioned several times, I want to transition into target markets, right? We have questions. What target market would help contribute to your RVP run, right? How do you know the right target market? How do you handle the younger market? Let's talk about, if you all are okay talking about it, let's talk about target market. And I want to differentiate. I want to talk about target market for recruiting, and I want to talk about target market for clients. Right. And so I want everybody that's listening to understand that I am differentiating. And as the RVPs talk, they're going to differentiate. Let's talk about target markets for recruiting, target markets for clients. And I'm going to ask Benicia to jump us off talking about target markets.
All righty. So target market for recruiting and target market for clients, right? And so honestly, when it does come to looking at the target market, you have to make sure that the client, both of them, it doesn't matter, that they're qualified, right? When we say qualified, we're looking at between the ages of 25 to 55, right? Homeowner, full-time job, those things. Those are very important to me. And this is the client side and the recruit side, okay? Now, when I sit down, I may on the back end, and I'm probably jumping ahead of myself, but on the back end, when I sit down, it may just be a client that comes to the table and I'm like, okay, cool. Because what I don't want is the next month for a, chargeback to come because this is not a qualified, client. They're not qualified. But so on the back end, I may recruit them based off of their mindset when we sit down and we're having a conversation and we're going over things, right? Just because they're 25 to 55, homeowners, full-time, have kids, doesn't necessarily mean that I'm trying to recruit them. And I just have to be honest, because one thing that I found as an RVP, you really have to start looking at people, the way they think, some of the things that they tell you, the conversations that you do have with them may tell you right off the top, this is the one I'm trying to recruit now. We're going to go ahead and do this business, but I'm not going to be able to actually train them. People will let you know up front, I'm not coachable. People will let you know I don't have the time. People let you know all kinds of things, but you have to keep your eyes and ears open. And I know a lot of times we're trying to push to recruit because we're like, I need to get this 3x3 or I need to get my 1x1. Listen, it's time out for that. And I say that now, especially with me being an RVP, I say that because it's very important to understand they may be a client, but they may not be a recruit, y'all. And that's okay, because at the end of the day, they're still going to give you referrals as a client. And if they do become a recruit, it's going to be based off some of the things that we're sitting there talking about. I know that they have the time, they're flexible, those things. It's just really, I'm looking for that type of connection, somebody that's going to take the business to a next level, because I'm always interested in building. So don't think that I'm being that picky, but I just know there are keywords that I'm looking for and I'm like, oh no, this is not going to work, but when it comes down to it, always go back to qualified. Is this person qualified? You know, I think sometimes we don't look at that. We're trying to recruit somebody that's 19 or 18, or, you know, it's not much that a 19-year-old can do, right? They may be able to put you in front of their parents, but beyond that, what else can we do? You know, and there are some exceptions, right? But I'm not trying to go get a whole team of 19-year-olds. I'm being very honest, because I have a 20-year-old nephew, and the only thing my 20-year-old nephew is trying to do right now is go to school and enjoy life, right? And I'm over here trying to build a business. So I'm not trying to work with people that I know won't be able to get out there and do what I need them to do. Y'all can't be a millionaire by running all these 19-year-olds. But listen, I'm not gonna take all the time, but I'm just saying, be able to understand the through conversation. If you're recruiting on the back end, understand that. If you are meeting somebody and you're trying to recruit them, still understand that this may not be right for me, okay? Because you're looking for a certain person. Everybody on this call, you know, Stephen Coleman tells us, Stephen and Phoenicia Coleman are NSDs, they tell us we're CEOs. You know, would you hire this person if you had a multi-million-dollar company? Would you hire this person to be in your organization? And I'd be like, no, I wouldn't. So that's some of the things that I've learned over time. So hopefully that has answered your question.
All right, appreciate that, Coach Walk. So just to add to it, between, you know, recruits and clients, like, you know, the difference between the two, it's only one difference. And what I'll do is I'll get into that. But for recruits, we're looking for people who have ability, right? Ability. What kind of ability? Availability, right? Credibility. And we're looking for people who have coachability, right? And so if you have those three things, you're the type of recruit that we're looking for. You're exactly who we're looking for, right? Now, what's the most important ability out of all of those abilities? That's right, you guessed it, availability. That's it. Because nothing else matters if you're not available, right? Man, I just got hired at a job, man. Oh man, what's your schedule, man? Man, they got me Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Oh, for real? Yeah, but I can't be there Monday through Thursday though. I can only show up on Friday. Are you gonna have that job? I mean, like, come on, man. It's just not gonna work. You have to be available, right? Now, availability, coachability, credibility for a recruit. If a person does not have availability, then guess what? They are candidates to become a client now. Because what's important for a person that's a client? My client, right? You still gotta have coachability and you still gotta have credibility. Right? What is credibility? Be where you say you're gonna be. If we got an appointment on this day at this time, be there. Or reschedule in advance to let me know. Now don't keep rescheduling now because I'm gonna have to drop it. But I'm just saying, just be credible, because I'm checking your pulse for a person that I want to take on as a client. Like, I have to be able to contact you. Like, you pick the phone up, right? And if you're not doing that, I don't want you as a client. I'm just saying, that's just me. You got to be credible. You got to be coachable, because I'm going to take you through a process. My job is to guide you in the direction to make the right financial decision. If I can't do that with you, then you can't be my client. All right? That's all I got.
I got something I want to add to that. To speak a little bit about both of them. You know, I think that we're all pretty well versed. For those of us who have been around for any period of time, we're well versed on what the target market is in terms of clients: age range, employed full-time, and at least one of the three things as far as married, kid under the age of 19, homeowner. Those just add to the equation. But the one thing that we don't talk about or we don't talk about enough is mentality. It's mentality. Because a person can have all of the above. They can have the age range, they can be employed full-time, they can be married, they can have several kids that are under the age of 19, they can be a homeowner, they can have income, they can have all of that. But if they don't have the right mentality about, man, I believe in life insurance, or I think that this is something that's a priority in my life right now, if their mindset and their thinking is bad, if it's wrong, then I don't want you to to run up on somebody and say, well, man, I'm in the target market. Well, what trumps all of the target market is mentality. It's the way that a person thinks, right? Because and what taught me this is I sat down with a young lady. She was 24 years old, fresh out of college. She graduated from Texas A&M. She was working on the East Coast. She had what most people consider a really nice job. She had no kids. She had no home. And she said, Nick, I want $500,000 in life insurance. And she was serious and she could afford it. I said, my sister, I don't meet too many people like you. Why do you want $500,000 in coverage? She said, because if something happens to me, I want to make sure my mama is straight. I didn't say that. She said that. And I said, you know what? You have the right mentality. She wasn't qualified on paper, but her mentality trumped all of that. So mentality is very key. And when you talk to people and when you're taking them through the wealth builder process, don't you think just because they got all them things that it's going to be an automatic close, because some of you guys have run across people that they got the wrong mentality. And let me tell you something, them mentalities be so deep rooted, you're not going to overcome that in an hour-long conversation. Come on, somebody, you better hear me. And so just get out of there when you know the mentality is bad. Just get your parachute on, open the door, and just jump out. And pull the ripcord and get out of there. The mentality's bad. There's nothing that you can do. Now, when it comes to recruiting, Justin talked about availability, credibility, coachability. Those are things that I also look for as well. They don't have to have all of these. They need to have some of these, man. I'm looking for somebody that has a great reputation with their family and friends. That's a characteristic. That's a target person for me. I don't want anybody that is at odds with their family. And then you see their family, you like, they seem normal. They seem cool. Like, what's going on here? Like, I want somebody that has a good relationship with their friends and their family. I want somebody that they don't mind talking to people. They don't necessarily have to be an extrovert, but they're social. They okay talking to people, right? Man, don't be recruiting somebody that don't like talking to people. They blatantly tell you they don't like talking to people, and you're still trying to convince them to join you in business. Don't do it. Don't do it. And then in addition to that, check this out. You know, I want to recruit somebody that hates having a boss. That hates having a boss. And that they are at a place in their life where they're honest with themselves. They say, what I'm doing right now, it's not working. It's not where I want to end up. It's not where I want to retire. I'm ready for a change. I want to do something different. Those are key indicators that you're in the right market in front of the right person if they have some of those intangibles. And I just wanted to throw that out there.
I will also say that CHAMP works. If you're recruiting someone in the target market, you want to also ask them about CHAMP. And I want you to think about yourselves on here. You know, are each and every one of you all, are you competitive? You know, are you hardworking? You know, are you an ambitious person? Are you motivated by money? Or are you a great people person? You have great people skills. If you think about some of the qualifications on CHAMP, a lot of that stuff is inside of you. And so you want to find other people like you because there's a reason why you pulled the trigger. There's a reason why you're here. And so if you use CHAMP, CHAMP also works, especially when it comes to finding a recruit inside of the regular qualifications as far as having a qualified person. CHAMP works. I just want to throw that out there too.
That's so good. That's so good. I want to talk too about want versus need, right? Want versus need. Nick talked about it on the recruit side, right? Do you want an opportunity? Are you looking for an opportunity, right? Do you want more for your life? Are you not satisfied with what you have and you want more? Not do you need more? Are you in a desperate and dire situation? That does not work whether you're a recruit or a prospective client. It will not work. Okay, you have to want to be here. You have to want to do business with us. All these things. It's not about let me find your neediest friend. Oh, they really need what y'all do. What does that mean? Is their financial life a dumpster? Do they like, nah. Like, that's not going to work, right? And so it's really a want versus need thing. And you really have to evaluate that each person that you're going to, okay, what are they, before somebody takes me to somebody, let's talk about have that want versus need conversation. Because people, anyway, if you're in a bad financial situation and it's because either you have never made money or you make a lot of bad financial decisions, there's only so much that I can do for you, right? But if you're in a person who is ambitious, who is just has some desire inside of them and just has never had the right vehicle in their hand, has never had that right thing, then I got something for you. I absolutely have something for you. Okay, and then I hopefully for people, I think hopefully that answered if the people are uncoachable, if their schedules are so busy, right? Because we all were busy, right? We were busy before we got here. There was not a single person on here that was just sitting around twiddling their thumbs before they got in this business, right? But we all decided to make time for this because we saw value here. Right. So I hope that all of these things that you've heard right now have answered a lot of some of those questions that you had around that. Right. I think there was also about like people living at home with their parents. You know, again, that's the mentality thing. Are they living home with their parents because they're like, I'm stacking all my bread, I'm stacking all my dough so I can go and do something big with my life? Or are they living home with their parents because they can't seem to get their money right and they still living in their parents' pockets, right? Two totally different things, right? And so uncoachable comes in a lot of different formats. Some people are uncoachable, like literally do not listen to anything you say. You can't work with them. But some people are like, okay, I feel like I'm a leader in my own right. I got some, we got to find our balance here because I got to see if I can build that trust with you. Right. So I really want to talk about, so Justin, go ahead. Justin, go ahead and jump in. You're about to jump in.
Yeah, it was just going to be real quick. The want versus need piece that you just touched on, I think it was super important for people to really catch that. The way I look at want is a person that has the hunger for more, right? And when someone has the hunger for more, what does that mean? That means that they're eating already. Did y'all catch that? Like they eating already, y'all. But they're like, you know what? I can stomach some more. You know what I'm saying? Like we could take more food into this family. Like we desire to have more, right? Need. I look at that as a person that's starving, right? And if a person is starving, these are the type of people that you definitely do not want to recruit in your business, okay? And you also don't want to make them clients either, right? Because when a person is starving on the recruit side, it shows across the Zoom table. It used to be called a kitchen table back in the day, but now it's Zoom table now, y'all. But it shows across the Zoom table if a person is in financial duress because you super thirsty. Like they can tell, like, man, dog, like for real, you want it that bad, man? Okay, well, let me just give it to you. Let me just give you this charge back. Like, God dang. I'm just saying, like it just shows across the kitchen table. So you need people that are settled, that's just not struggling, right? And they can let a potential sale go if it's not the right type of person. They can let it go because they're not hurting for it, right? And then on the client side, that you're not going to be writing good business that's not going to stay on the books for long, right? I mean that business could come back and bite you in the same month, right? As soon as you hit submit, it can bite you in the butt. Decline, you like, God, dang, I couldn't even. I'm just saying, right? So just make sure that you focus on people that have a hunger for more. And how can you find that out? By asking the right questions to people, right? If you become a master at asking the right questions, I'm telling you, you will sort through a whole bunch of stuff that you wouldn't be going through otherwise. All right, that's what I got.
All right, I want to start to get a little bit into, since we were starting to talk about mentality and how people think. Let's jump a little bit into personal development, right? And so for each person, this is actually one of the questions that was submitted. What are your methods of personal development, right? And then if you could fit it in there about also building your own self up to be able to do this business effectively. Yeah, so that's what we'll go. We'll talk about what is your own methods of personal development, and then also putting a twist on that and how that affects just doing this business, right? So if y'all can warm y'all's thoughts up, I'll tell you all, like right now, I'm reading a daily devotional that my line sister wrote, right? Just about being brave enough to do the unexpected, right? So it's a daily devotional about that. I'm also reading another one. I don't know how I started two at the same time. That's specifically for business women. It's a daily devotional for business women. I like to listen to people's personal autobiographies on Audible. That's my thing, right? And so I have an Audible subscription where I listen to people's personal books, right? So I've done Michelle Obama, I've done Barack Obama, I've done, I'm trying to think of the comedian, it's so good. I've done Will Smith, like there's a lot of them that I've done, but just but successful, listening to successful people tell you their story, I find to be inspiring. I'm also a go out on POL, listen to videos type person. So I try to develop in different areas, whether it's spiritually, whether it's business, personal development, or whether it's just, just uplifting myself in a different way. But I try to have a couple of things going on at the same time, reading or listening to. I used to do it in the car all the time, but I'm obviously not in the car as much with my audibles, but I still keep my audibles going. But you find the thing that works for you. When I first got into business, I did a lot of leadership books, a lot of just things that had to do with leading people, with having to do with what is a money business mindset, right? The rich dad, poor dad type stuff, right? Just what are some just things that, how do leaders think? What's the difference between me and this employee stage and me trying to move this to this leadership stage? And so book reading was something, or even listening to CDs, but book reading was something I did heavily when I first got into business. Because you can highlight, you can go back and revisit, you can take notes while you're doing it. Because to me, I find that writing stuff down helps it get into my spirit a little bit more effectively. So anyway, so I'm gonna turn it over to the rest of the panel. What is your personal development methods? What methods do you use? And so anybody could jump in.
Let me jump in real quick, babe. I love what you just said. And just sharing, yeah, she is an Audible junkie. So if you have an Audible subscription, you need to take advantage of it. If you don't have it, I don't get paid any money by Audible, but I'm endorsing them. So yeah, it's just a good thing, because as we live life on the go, it's very hard for us to sit down and read a book. It's good to listen to it. You're in your car, you're walking, whatever you have in your headphones, and you can listen to a lot of different things. Let me say this about personal development, because I've been a personal development person since I started in Primerica 19 years ago, but it was a motivation that got me into it. Like, personal development is such a, I know it's gonna sound, it's such a personal thing, it's a personal thing, your personal development. And it has to come from within. Like, nobody can force you to be a personal development person or be a self-improvement person. It's really you getting with yourself and saying, I want to get better. Like, I want to get better. If you have not had that conversation with yourself to where you look yourself in the mirror and you say, I need to get better. Like, I got to improve. Then we can talk about self-improvement and personal development in you, and it won't really land. It's not until you get sick of you. Because you are where you are because of the choices and the decisions that you made, whether it's good, bad, or imperfect, right? But you are exactly where you need to be. Our lives are the sum totals of the choices that we made. I know you don't want to hear that. I know that there are some things and circumstances that might have come against you, but at the same time, how did you respond to them? So if we want to elevate our station, then we got to get new thoughts, because we can never elevate above our level of consciousness, right? What are you thinking? Because what you're thinking is what's manifesting outside of you. So you got to get new thoughts in your mind. And I'm telling you right now, it ain't the presentation. It ain't the chargebacks. It ain't the recruits and the recruits quitting. It ain't passing a test. It ain't none of that that run people off from Primerica. People leave Primerica, Justin, because they don't want to get better. They don't want to get better. And so what they do, they blame the company, they blame the opportunity, and they say that it's hard, right? You mean to tell me that everybody that you admire that wins, that has won, that they didn't come up against challenges hard? No, they rose above it. So don't let anything in Primerica conquer you, because it's not supposed to. It's really supposed to make you stronger and allow you to grow. But if you don't have personal development inside of you, you don't have self-improvement, then you won't know that, and you'll bow out gracefully to something that is so small. You'll bow out gracefully. Oh, I guess I just can't get past that. Well, I guess this isn't for me. Really? Be weak? God didn't make you that way. And I had to understand that as a person. I got around people that challenge my thinking. So this is something like, I can tell you what books to read on it. Let me start with where you at right now. Who do you hang around? Who you talk to every day? Who you spending time with, right? You can improve yourself. You can start there. Because if the people that you hang around have limited thinking, if they had limited vision, then guess what you got? Probably the same. But if you're around somebody that's stretching your vision, that's challenging you, that's elevating your thinking, that you're around them and you're doing a lot of listening and you're saying, man, I ain't never thought about it like that. Man, when I got in Primerica, I was around some brothers and I was like, I ain't never heard no brothers that look like me. I ain't never heard no brothers talk like this before, but I'm feeling it. And then I'll try to get in the conversation, Justin, and they'll be like, all right, we got you, little daddy. Check this out, though. And they'll lay stuff on. I'll be like, man, that was heavy, man. Where did you, and I just had this desire. I wanted to elevate myself to that level because I knew their thinking was different than mine. And I tell you what, I don't want anybody's thinking to be different than mine that's winning. All I gotta do is elevate my thinking. So what did I do? I turned my car into a classroom from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Andrea's my witness, man. When we moved to Houston and we came years ago, man, I turned my car into a classroom. I read things, I watched things. That's why you can kind of watch anything and pull something out of it as a talk or self-improvement, because I conditioned my mind to do that. Rahima's watched me do it. Nasiah had something on his paper that he brought from school. No, it was an activity he was doing in a book. And he was doing this word thing. I looked at it, I said, man, that's a talk right there. They looked at me like, what you talking about? Like, just pull it from it because it's in me now. But I had to work on that. I didn't come here like this. I had to work on that. My question is, what are you doing? What are you reading? What are you listening to? Who are you hanging around? Because some of them people in your circle need to get out of your circle. And you need to talk less to them and start hanging around more people that think different, that are going for more, because I'm telling you, that'll elevate your level of consciousness as well. I just wanted to throw that out.
Let's keep it going, keep it going. Any other RVPs want to jump in?
Yeah, real quick. I mean, we just go, all right, wait, are you talking? I don't know.
I didn't know. I'm sorry. I didn't know I was on mute. Go ahead, Justin.
Okay, no, just real quick. Basically, y'all took the cake. I mean, in terms of personal development, the way Brittany is a big reader. For me, I'm more of a watcher and a listener, right? That's how I like to intake information. I enjoy taking it in that way, and I can get a lot from it that way too. So, listening to certain books, but I'm really big on going on POL, like Andrea put out here, on demand, and listening to, leaders in Primerica. You get so much, man. It's just such a pump me up, like a motivation, like, wow, like, it just reminds you like, man, we here and the job is not done. You know what I mean? But also, like Nick said, protecting ourselves from, being around certain people, right? Like, it's just not gonna happen, man. Like, if we ain't, I remember when I first met Nick, he said, now we can jaw jack about two things all day. And he was like, outside of that, I can't rock with a person. He was like, I can talk about God. He was like, and I can talk about business. These are two things, right? And I was like, man, that's what's up, bro. And I was a little super youngster trying to get my britches straightened primarily. But I remember hearing that. I was like, man, that's fire. So yeah, that's just my little piece right there in terms of personal development.
Okay, so I'm gonna piggyback on, I think Nick was talking about this, and I've said it before, watch your diet. And I'm talking about what you're feeding yourself, what you're listening to. When he talks about the people that you're hanging around, yeah, don't think that since we've all become RVPs, that everybody we started off with as friends is still in our circle. My circle used to be real big. It's become very small. Because if, first of all, if you're not feeding me the things that's positive, that's feeding my soul, then how can I feed life into other people if all you're doing is sucking it out of me? You know, so you have to think about that. As leaders, we are here, we're leading from the front, so we're leading our people, right? And so you have to make sure that you are taking care of self. Now, I'm big on taking care of self, just like I just would have got my hair done a while ago, because I got to look good. Because if I don't look good, you know, my trainer used to say, you are your product. You know, people are buying or want to be a part of you because of who you are and what you look like. So I have to make sure I look good, feel good, right? And so also we talk about working out. You know, there's been times where I'll do my little 4.5 miles in the morning, walking. And as I'm walking, I'm listening to Art Williams. You know, I may be listening to Tyler Perry's book that he actually wrote. I listen to Les Brown. I listened to Les Brown so much. My brother was here for 2 months and he was like, who was that screaming? What's going on? And I'm like, I have to feed my soul. Like, you have to. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'm listening to Sarah Jakes Roberts. You know, I'm listening to all kind of things that's feeding my soul. And I stop at some point. I'm not even talking on my phone at some point, you know, and if people that know me by around month end, there's nothing to talk about, because right now my focus is on where it needs to be, and where it needs to be on is my business and myself, because at this point all I have to give right now is what I'm praying and asking God for, right? And so my focus has to be there. But if you don't take care of tend to yourself, then how can you be the best that you can be for anyone else? And so it's important to have that love, that self-care. When you're hurting, go ahead and cry. It's okay. Get it out. You guys, stop trying to hold it in. And make sure you're reading your daily scriptures. Rahima talked about devotions. That's very important. You know, when you pull away from that, how are you going to ask God to help build your business? How are you going to ask God to provide for you, but you're not even giving God your time? So make sure you're doing that too. That's very, very, very important. And so I just say, watch what you feeding yourself. Watch who you surrounding yourself with. And then at times, watch the kind of music you listening to, y'all. I mean, the music does it for me too. And even the movies. Like, I find myself watching stuff I probably would have never watched in the past. I'm like, okay, well, shoot, this is pretty good. You know, and just encourage. You know, for me, I'm that person that when I encourage other people, it makes me feel better. There have been times where I didn't feel like I was being as successful in my business. And I had something where an RVP team, they wanted me to do a presentation and talk to them. And I was like, I don't want to get on here. I don't want to talk to them. But guess what? When I got on and I was able to sit there and talk, giving back to other people is what makes me thrive, what makes me feel good. Because then I'm like, man, I got on here, I did that. Now I know I need to get back to work, and I'm here for me. I got to get out of here and do this thing, do this for my family. And so it's just, man, y'all, I'm telling you, when you find a passion in what you do, and you, like, for me, I love this. I love what I do. You know, I'm so passionate about it. And sometimes God just puts me in a position where I'm constantly reminded, this is why you're here, you know? And so even feeding life into other people is a part of my self-development. Like, it is. And I didn't realize that until some months back, when, you know, like I said, I was on that call and I'm like, man, I just feel horrible like 15, 20 minutes ago. But now I feel like a new person, and that's what we're here for. We're here to actually get out and speak life into other people, y'all, whether we're spreading the word or spreading the good news about Primerica. But that's what we're here to do. But yeah, so just make sure you're taking care of yourselves, guys.
That's good. One thing I learned a long time ago is that this business, especially when you really are buckling down and making a decision to be serious about it, this is a self-improvement program with a high compensation on the back end, right? And you literally have to grow to be successful here. If you're refusing to grow, it's not going to happen. It's when you decide I'm going to get uncomfortable and I'm going to grow through this thing that you really start to see some real changes and some beautiful things start to happen in your business. All right, y'all, we coming down the home stretch. I do want to make time for at least one more topic. I know we didn't get to everything tonight, but I do want to make time for at least one more topic. And that topic is time management. Right, which is a super important topic. I'm going to start here because I know a couple people asked this question, but then I'm going to let the RVPs kind of each put their sauce on it. But one of the questions, and it came in a couple different forms, was talking about juggling being in business and being a parent. Right. How do you juggle being in business and being a parent? And so I'm sure it's probably a couple different answers. I'm going to give, I guess I'll give the nice answer. I'll start nice, right? It's anything else. Listen, whoever says anything about balance lied. At different times, you put your energy in different places. There is no such thing as balance, right? You put your energy where you need your energy to be at the time that you need it there. At the point you decide that this business is important and it's a priority, you'll make it one. And I promise you, the universe will align around it, right? Being a parent, especially of young kids, is extremely demanding, right? Any parent on this phone knows that it's extremely demanding, but it doesn't mean that your business cannot thrive and grow at the same time. If you're, and it's different types of, you're a single parent, you're married or whatever, partnership parent, whatever, you have to figure out based on your situation, how do we make this thing work? And a lot of it is flexibility and communication, right? Okay, what does my schedule look like from the day I wake up to the time I go to sleep? And it's not the same every day. Before I go to bed tonight, I need to decide, what does tomorrow look like, right? What is my work time? Okay, I'm gonna do my work during my work time. If I have time during lunch, then I need to be doing that's my business time. If I have, my kid has daycare or whatever it is, usually most people have their daycare set up past their actual work time. Okay, that gives me more business time, right? If you have to sit down, if you are I'll call it blessed with a spouse, right? Because every parent does not have somebody to partner with. But if you're blessed with a spouse or somebody that you're partnering parenting with in the same home, then you got to work it out with them, right? Listen, me and Nick, right? When we was in the business, footloose, fancy free, had all the time in the world. We got married, had these babies, right? And it changed everything. But we understood how our time was going to work. Look, the business is super important to us. And so we're going to make time for that business. The way we did it was, at that time, we're still in the car, Primerica, right? He's out running the appointments. I'm in the house taking care of the kids. We transitioned at one point where we were both outside the house. We had to get help. This idea of help, get help. That's my number one thing to people. Go get help. Whoever that help comes from, whether you got to hire that help, whether you got to ask family members. We don't have a village here. We don't have we didn't have anybody here at the time. And so we had to go get help. But if okay, I have a mother, a cousin, or somebody who can help me 2 days a week. Or maybe I start them off, let's see if I can convince them to help me 1 day a week, whatever it is. If you can ask somebody to help you 1 day a week for a period of time, that's your business time, right? it's just one of those things that if you are wanting to do this and you have decided you're going to do this and you put away the excuses and you decide to figure it out, literally the universe will line up around it. It's not going to feel comfortable. It's not going to feel pretty, but it's going to feel like I can do it. It's going to feel doable, right? And so I hope if anybody has watched us, you know, if you've seen us from the early stages till now, you've seen that we've tried to make this thing work, and we've continued to grow our business in the process, right? Not only have we grown our business in the process, but we freed ourselves up so that I could leave my job in the process. We've gotten our lives so our kids can be in great activities in the process, right? Because we aligned on what if you feel like you're competing with your spouse or your partner and they have their thing, you have your thing, well, y'all got to figure out whose thing is on which day. Because somebody's thing can't be more important than your thing, not if that's your partner and your spouse. How their thing gonna be more important than your thing, right? How does that work, right? Why would that be the case, right? And so you got to work that thing out with them so that y'all can figure out and then go get additional help if you need it. So I'll pass it on to whoever wants to give the next response.
I would say that during RVP run, you know, one of my amazing downlines, he gave me a planner. It's not the same one, of course, this is a different one. And in that planner, it had every hour on the hour, and it was a week at a time. And so what I would do at my job is I would write in there every week the things I had to do at work into the planner. And I blocked that off because that means I had to be in a meeting. I had to be somewhere where someone needed to see me. And then what I would do is I would take a highlighter and I would highlight all the other times that I could do Primerica. It might be a lunch break, right? It might be leaving early a couple days. It might be a Friday because we had every other Friday off. And I would highlight the squares, the areas, the spaces where I could do business. And then my job was to fill in those spaces with appointments and double book them up, right? Because you know how appointments are, one will keep, one will hold or whatever. But you've got to get on a schedule. Also, you have to put in the important things that are in your life. Just like Rahima said, if you have a family, that's important. So make sure you put down those events as well. But you know, when you get up in the morning, make sure you schedule time for your devotion, your prayer time, your reflection time, whatever you call it. Make sure you have that in your schedule. That's number one on mine. And number two, I put in some me time. You know, do I want to sit out time? Do I want to take a walk through the neighborhood? You know, do I want to do some self-development? Put that in your schedule it. Because I'm telling you, if it's not scheduled in there, it'll be week after month after month, and you'll have no activity in this business. And you'll look up and you'll say, man, I didn't run any appointments. Well, the reason why is because you let the week dictate to you what you had, instead of you dictating to your week what you're going to do. And so I would advise each and every one of you, the question was about the RVP run, you've got to get a schedule. You have to know a week in advance, 2 weeks a month in advance. You know, lay out all the things that you have to do and when you have to do it. And the rest of that time, you got to sell out to make appointments the number one priority in this business so you can make some money. That's all I have.
Hey, let me jump in real quick. You know, let me say this, you know, for those who have kids and you're looking to do Primerica, Rahima touched on it. There is no such thing as work-life balance. You know, there's a such thing as imbalance. And that's okay, because that's the life that we live. You know, nothing is balanced out, nothing is perfect or anything like that. I mean, it's just what it is. But where I want to kind of land is, I think that you're always going to struggle with this. If there's somebody that's out there that's really debating with that, you're always going to struggle with this until you do one thing, until you decide that this is where God wants you to be. Until you make that decision, and that's total commitment that, man, this is, I'm going to do this. It's only when you haven't made that decision that I'm going to do this, this is where I'm supposed to be, that all that other stuff becomes a barrier and it becomes a challenge for you. Like I always tell that story when I stepped foot on a college campus, and you probably did too. Most of the people who graduate from college, the reason why they graduated from college is because they made the decision that they were going to graduate before they stepped foot on that campus. And so there's financial challenges come up, there's family challenges come up, there's emotional things that you go through, but you go through it because in your mind, you made that decision that that's where you were going to do. I don't think that people have truly made the decision that this is where they should be in this opportunity. And so when tribulations come, they sway and they rock back and forth, and they always say, hey man, they start to question whether or not, this is something like, because you haven't made, you're not anchored, you're not rooted. You're not rooted. And so once you make that decision and that you decide that you put to death all other things, this is what's it. You were led here, you were brought here to do this thing. Then that's when everything else will start to open up. Because once you decide, just like when you get married, when I got married, I put to death any other relationship with any other person in that way. That's what when I got married, that's what it was. I know some other people might not be like that, but when I got married, that's what it was. I put to death. So I'm going to make this thing work. That's what I'm going to do. And married couples have challenges, you have fights and all that, but man, you make this thing work because you made the decision. And it's the same thing here. Primerica is not an easy business when you have kids. It's not. But it doesn't mean you can't do the business. You can. So, you got to assemble your village. You got to assemble your team, right? Who's your village? Who's your team? Anybody that can help you manage what's going on with your children. You might have to hire those people. You might have to incentivize those people. Whatever you got to do, get in the creative stage and figure it out, because your situation is not my situation. My situation might not be the next person's situation, but your situation. You got to figure it out. Why? Because you've decided to figure it out. And that's really where it lands. Let me say this. I think a lot of times people get so far off and so forward in their thinking that they don't take care of what's so simple and easy right here. See, Henry Ford, what he did, Henry Ford had created the Model T. He said, I'm going to go in my garage and I'm going to build me a car. And this car is going to be from people who are in the country that want to drive to the city. And people that are in the city, they want to drive to the country. And I'm going to build me a car. And man, that's what I'm going to do. He didn't think about, well, man, if the car break down, who's going to repair the cars? Oh man, what's the car going to run off? Gasoline? Oh man, there wasn't a such thing as gas stations. Well, how you gonna fill the thing up? Okay. No, all of that. Who changed the parts? Who's gonna fix the car? He said, I'm gonna go in my garage and I'm gonna build a car. And he did that. And then once he did that, then he took the next step. And then once he took the next step, then the next step revealed itself. So what am I saying? Y'all do know we can do this business from home, right? Y'all do know that. Nobody's asking you to leave the house to do Primerica. At least I'm not asking you to do it. You can do the business from home. So what's simple? Identify the days that you want to set aside to do your Primerica business. That's your days. And then have activity on those days and start there. And guess what? As you get consistent with that, if it just rouses your spirit to take the next step, then take the next step and do that. Just master each step and stop thinking about, well, man, if I build a team and this, that, and the other, I might miss my baby birthday and all of that. I can't be at the school activities. Woe is me. Why am I even doing this in the first? And you never got good and you never got proficient at the little thing. Just go in the garage and build the dadgum car and stop worrying about gas stations and repair services and all that type of stuff. Just go build the car. And I promise you, everything else will take care of itself after that.
I appreciate that, Coach. I mean, dang, that was fire. But just to add to what you're saying, I mean, how do you juggle parenting and appointments, right? At big events, AALC, convention or whatnot, one thing that everyone always says once you go there is that all of your excuses have been taken away, right? Because it's so many people in Primerica, when you listen to their stories and the things that they had to persevere through, overcome, endure, right? And they still managed to become successful in this business. You'd be like, man, what am I really complaining about? Like, what really is my challenge? And is it that big, right? One person I think about is Omar Oropesa, right? I mean, this is a business where we talk and communicate to people, right? And when you listen to his story, and he talked about how bad he stuttered in the beginning. He said it was so bad, y'all, that he rolled up in a big old ball and just, no, I'm just kidding. That's that Lenny Williams. But he said it was so bad that at restaurants, y'all, he didn't even want to order off the menu because he couldn't get his words out. You know what I mean? I mean, imagine that, like coming into Primerica, knowing that you have to speak to people and you have this condition, right? That you have to deal with, that you have to be like, you know what, this is what I have. I can just lay down with it, or I can just face it head on and just continue to get better with it, right? Because the right people are still going to join you in business, whether you stuttering or not. That's what he understood. And now he's $1 million earner in the business, right? So when you think about that and you think about your issue, right? Or whatever that you're trying to juggle, it's like, okay, would you rather be dealing with that, or would you rather be like a super stutterer right now and have to deal with that on your plate? I'm just saying, I would rather deal with whatever else I'm dealing with, Lord, please, right? And I have to be trying to get that right. I'm just saying, right? Now, one thing about us as humans, right? We are the most adaptable beings. We adapt to everything, right? Picture your life before kids for people who have children. Picture your life before kids, how we used to run free, we used to do our thing, not a care in the world, right? Living for yourself, you know what I'm saying? All that good stuff like that. And you probably had a lot going on at that time, right? And then you're like, man, how would I fit another human being in my life that depends on me for everything, right? Like, how do I make time for that? But we did. Because we're what? Adaptable. We adapt to everything. And so now that they're in our lives, it's like, man, I can't even imagine life without them, right? And I've made provisions for them. I fit them into my schedule, right? It's the same thing with Primerica. How do you adapt, right? If you didn't have kids, if you have kids now, and you have Primerica in the plate, what you do is you fit it in your schedule. You make room for it, and you adapt to your situation. That's what you do. That would be my recommendation. We are more adaptable than we give ourselves credit for. Let's just focus on what we're here to do and why we're here. And just like Nick said, if we sell out to it and we make a decision that, hey, this is what I'm going to do, guess what? The world is going to do this. It's just going to pull to the side and be like, oh, okay, well, I didn't know you wanted it that bad. All right, well, there it is right there. Go ahead and walk through. But if we continue to make, excuses or just say, hey, man, I'm just saying, y'all, you just have to make a decision because we're very, very adaptable. All right.
I know we're over time. I got one last thing I want to add. This is for the people who have some kids. I'm sorry, Benicia. I got you, my sister. I got you. Just look in that child's face, and don't let that be the reason why you don't do Primerica, but let that be the reason why you do Primerica. That's what it should be when you look in that child's face. Because if you don't go win, then what's going to happen is, and I'm talking about in this business because I don't know any other vehicle that was coming across my path that was going to allow me as a Black man to win, and deal in millions of dollars of things and have a real opportunity and be able to have ownership and passes to I didn't know of another opportunity. I was on a path to where I was going to be talking to my kids about how to go to the right school, get the right degree, build the right resume, and how do you interview for people. So is that what you want for your kid? If you don't go win, now look, this ain't even about Primerica. If you ain't winning here, you better go win somewhere. I'm just saying, you in this thing. You in here. You've been here. Why don't you go in here? Because if you don't, what are you passing on to that child for them to go like what do you? They gonna have to go through what you go, and you hate it. You hate it. You don't like going to work for somebody. You don't like. We better figure it out. We better figure it, because at one day, your child is gonna get of age and be like, "Mama, was you in Primerica? Were you in Primerica?" A friend of mine that his parents are in Primerica, and they like doing all kind of stuff. What happened? Were you licensed? You have securities license. All these student loans and stuff. You better figure it out. That's all I gotta say. B, talk to him.
All right, some of what you just said about focusing on the why is really what I was going to say. I know I don't personally have kids, and so looking at this question that Brahima said, I was like, I don't have kids. So, I know how it is. When we talk to parents, because I have nieces and nephews, and it's a little sensitive topic. But what I was sitting up here thinking is, I remember, because I listened to POL, and Tanya Poe was someone that's really big. And I remember Tanya Poe talking about a competition that she was a part of when she first got involved with the company. She was like, man, I did this month. And, this competition was to actually go out to eat with their upline. It was either their national sales director. I can't recall right now. I was sitting up here trying to remember, but she won that competition. She went in, she did what she needed to do that month to get in and sit at that table with them. And so they get to the table and they ask her, well, what? Okay, so good, you're here. So how does your month look now? And she was like, she was like, I was embarrassed because my month was like crap. So I'm telling them, nah, I ain't really do too well this month. I'm off to a slow start. And so the person looked at her and said, so you mean to tell me it was more important for you to come out to eat with me than to actually feed your daughter? So are you here to win for your child? Are you here to win just to actually show face in front of someone else? That's in other words. So I'm sitting here saying, what is your why? When you put your babies to sleep last night or tonight, and I mentioned it last week, you're their heroes, y'all. You're here for a reason. And I'll say it all day long. I don't have kids, but I guarantee when I have those twins, they're going to know why Benicia is doing it. I'm fighting now because of that. So I balance my time because of that, because no one else is in control of what I do. No one else. I'm not clocking in for somebody else. I don't have to get in traffic. I don't have to drive to work. I don't have to get ready for somebody else. And they're not telling me what to do when I get there. And so I'm thinking about those things. I'll have more time when I do have kids. And so everything that I'm doing now is because of that. It's not just because of my kids, but because I have parents that are elderly. Like the whole month of August, I had time to spend with them. And I was still running my business. Y'all didn't know that. My mom just had major surgery. So we got to start looking at things and say, like Nick just said, what is your why? I can only imagine how Tanya Poe felt when she was asked that question. Do you mean to tell me it was more important to sit down at the table with me than to feed your own daughter? Come on now, y'all. Same thing applies. Balance that time. A lot of us have master degrees on this call. A lot of us. And so you balance it to go back to school to get that master degree to better yourself for your child. So why wouldn't you actually balance your time? That's going to give you more time and more freedom and more money to spend with your kids and go and travel that way that you want. Remember TK and Anna came on here showing us the dream? Man, I was like, dang, I want that. Rahima was able to retire from her job. I want those things. Like, if I were you, I would be sitting there saying, I want those things. Looking at like Nick, man, I was like, man, he didn't have to go to work this morning. He used to spend time with his kids before I was an RVP. I'm like, I want that. Why wouldn't you want that? So you got to balance your time. You got to have a schedule. And guess what? You got to stick to it, but it's only temporary. Right now, you got to fight through it now in order to gain that more freedom later on. And I was going to sit here and I wasn't going to say anything. I'm like, I don't have any kids. I don't want the people to get mad at me. But then I'm sitting up here saying, I got to talk to them because, shoot, y'all, time management, period. Single with kids, I know it may look different, but it's real. Because guess what? At night, I don't have people helping me when it comes to certain things. So when you're doing stuff and you don't have partnership in business, you got to have time management, because if you don't show up, guess what? Nobody's going to show up for you at all. You don't have that. And so you just got to make sure that you are balancing and fighting for what it is that you want and not giving up and not caring how it feels at that time. I've seen single parents make it. I've seen single parents that are successful in this business, y'all, in the same way that they've done it. Guess what? You can too. But it's mindset. I'm telling you, but it's only temporary.
That was an excellent way to end us off, y'all. Thank y'all for staying on, for holding through the whole thing. This was absolutely wonderful. There's still topics that we didn't get to, like a full talking about RVP runs and all that stuff, but this was absolutely excellent. I will say this too. I'll just add on thing. In this Zoom world, people have gotten used to people's kids running around in the background. People have gotten used to, I used to think people care. My kids are so loud right now, y'all. Okay, but hopefully, whether y'all heard them or not, y'all heard me, right? And so, but we got them fed, we got them dressed for bed, because we knew we both needed to be on this call, and they just waiting for us to go usher their little tails up to night time, right? So anyway, with that, because the Bracy boys got to go to bed, yeah. We're going to say thank you for chiming in, y'all. Please come off of mute. Please give your RVP panel just a great hand of applause for really just doing an excellent job, you guys. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well done, well done.
So much.
Phenomenal. Thank you.
Leadership leaves clues. Leadership leaves clues. And what they did was they give you this leadership team gave you a lot of clues for how you get to where you're trying to go. And with that, I'm gonna let Nick, I'll let you close this out and take us out of here.
Yep, absolutely. Man, just big shout out to Rahima for doing a fantastic job.
Yeah.
And y'all give it up for Rahima.
Great job, Coach Reed.
Hey, quarterbacking the whole thing.
Love you. Thank
Great.
Doing an amazing job. And then let me tell y'all something, man. When Voltron come together, we unstoppable, man. We all lions in our own right. But when Voltron assembles, it's a wrap, man. And so we got the best leadership team in all of Primerica. I'll put money on us. And man, we got so much potential. But guess what, family? There's room for more. If you're a person that you see this visual and you like, man, like these people have really like lived it, they're talking it, they're walking it. This isn't just a novelty thing. They're passionate about Primerica. Man, I want some of that. Like I can see myself a part of that team. Guess what? This isn't an exclusive club, where you got to do weird. No, we want you to be a part of this. We're expanding. We are aggressive. What we say to that, hey, right now, we're experiencing a tremendous amount of success. So we're expanding. We're looking for other driven and ambitious people that are open to the possibility of doing what? Making more money and having more freedom as a regional vice president and above. So if that resonates with you, then family, we invite you to come be a part of this. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be convenient, but we promise you that it is worth it. It is worth it. And so hopefully you got something out of this. We'll circle back and catch some of those other questions, and we'll do this again and all that good stuff. But just know that every answer that we gave you guys, it came from our hearts and our souls. But thank you to the leadership team, to Justin and Brittany, to Andrea and Kathy, to Benicia. Man, you guys are the best. You guys are the best. Love y'all dearly. And let's go ahead and pray. Let's get out of here, family. Y'all don't mind. Everybody bow their heads. Lord, Heavenly Father, we come giving thanks for your grace, goodness, and mercy. Father, we thank you for your love. We thank you for your favor. We thank you for this opportunity to be able to share, Lord God, to be able to express and to be able to mentor and coach and pour into and to pour out. Lord Father, we just know that with your presence and you being here with us, Lord God, in the midst, Lord Father, that all things are possible. We give you all the glory, honor, and praise. Father, we know that in the future and what's to come, Lord God, that eyes haven't seen, ears haven't heard, nor has it entered into the imagination of any man or woman, all the phenomenal and amazing things that you are doing in the life of our situations in our business, Lord God. And we just give you all the glory, honor, and praise in advance. Continue to watch between us in our absence. Continue to breathe life and to bring encouragement and to breathe faith, Lord Father, and belief, Lord Father, into the people that are here. And knowing that they're here not just for by happenstance, Lord Father, but for a reason to be able to impact people. It might just be one person. It might be 5 people. It might be 10 people. It might be hundreds of people. It might be thousands of people, Lord Father. But whatever you're going to do, Lord Father, do according to the measure of faith that you have planted inside of them and what they're willing to live up to, Lord God. Until we see each other again, continue to bless us and keep us. It's in the mighty name of Jesus Christ we do pray. Amen. All right. Family.